How y'all doing? This is me, your friend and girl, Jennifer McCrae J. Shrink. Since as you know, I've spent most of my my working life in science, be it basic science where I started out working in laboratories, or and clinical laboratory in clinical trials also. But you know, the bulk of my skills are in mental health. However, since I always do little stories on mental health all the time, I'm going to go back to the days when I was doing just regular basic scientific research, and when I was learning about it in college. So the first, I'm gonna give you some horrendous things that the dominant medical establishment did to poor blacks. Now they saw this as I'm trying to think. The sacrifice of one for many. Okay, that's the way they saw it. So they got these poor black men and women. They did all different types of horrendous research on them, which did eventually they benefited men and women and people. They're little known. Research racism, scientific racism. But I want to do the first two, one being Henrietta Lacks, and hers was phenomenal. Her cells are still living, and she's been dead since 1951. And the second I'm going to do on the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. A lot of you know about that. And a lot of legal rights came about from that experiment, so that people just can't doctors just get your specimens and biopsies and do what they want to do, make money off of them or get famed off of them. So these two experiments with black people, Henrietta Lacks was one, and the Tuskegee sharecroppers from Tuskegee, Alabama was the other one. Okay, so I'm going to show you some pictures. Okay. This is our first person, Henrietta Lacks. Okay. I became interested in her when I was in college. We were in biology, microbiology class, and we were studying a chapter on different cells and how they react to different substances, things like that. So we went through that chapter, and I saw this page right here. I said, "No, who is this nice looking black woman? What on earth? How did she get involved?" I'm always curious. But so we talked about her. It was a small little article. It wasn't big because she was black, even though she's known as the mother of modern medicine, Henrietta Lacks. So at that time, the book said that her name was Helen Larson, Henrietta Lacks, Harriet some with an L on it. But they never had, they never gave her name, or they gave her, different names. And what intrigued me about this picture, this was right after she had aggressive cervical cancer, okay? And this is after she had her treatments and her gynecological, she was going a lot. Can you imagine being a woman, having aggressive cervical cancer, going 1-2 times a week to the gynecologist? She was in pain. Somehow they got her to take this picture. This is after those radiation treatments they inserted in her vagina, in her cervix, when she came once or twice a week. So they got her to get out there and take this picture with a smiley after undergoing agonizing treatments. That's true scientific racism. And they kept a picture and put it in a book, which is not, which is not, proper protocol. You don't identify subjects in an experiment like this, and you don't use them as mannequins. So basically, that's what happened to Henrietta. Okay, so like 20 years later, I'm looking at the book review, the book review page, and it has, guess what? The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot. And that fired up the cells in my neurons, for you science people. And I read it, and it told the whole story, the whole just graphic, just greedy, malignant story about what happened to this woman, her cells, and her family. And by the way, I read this book 3 times. It was a good book. Okay. So we're going to finish right there. I'm going to read some stuff about Henrietta. Okay. It says for more than 60 years. She was only 31 years old when she died of cancer also. And she had 5 children. And when she was undergoing cancer treatment, she had the cancer when she was pregnant when her last son. And he had a lot of neurological problems, being in a womb with aggressive cancer. Okay, so it says more than 60 years ago, in February 1951, a remarkable woman named Henrietta Lacks left the world a stunning legacy that would one day lead to cures for cancer and other diseases. Lacks' story was brilliantly told by author Rebecca Skloot in her 2010 book, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. Excellent book. Excellent 10 years she spent researching and being with the family. So it personalizes tissue samples that were used in her the research that was done on her. Okay, and I'm going to Henrietta Lacks was born in Roanoke, Virginia In 1920, she grew up poor on a tobacco farm. And her mother died. And she went on to live with some relatives. And her cousin, his name was David Lax, they got busy with each other when she was 14. And after that, they got married. And they had 4 children. So, the doctors found a growth. I think his name was Henry Jones, or some kind of Jones, the gynecologist. They removed a piece of tumor without her knowledge. You remember when I was telling you about she was going to get those treatments and everything? And so, they just got the piece out. They said, oh, well, we're going to take this experiment with it, see what we're going to get with it. Because it wasn't in her body anymore. It was science. So they, 8 years after her undergoing the agonizing radiation tube inserts, that is, they put radiation inside her cervix, she died. However, millions of her cells, known as HeLa, are still alive today. The cells from that tissue sample were mass-produced and have become priceless of the medical research. HeLa cells are shipped around the world and have have even been sent into space to study the effects of zero gravity on cells. Okay, before I finish, continue, I just wanted to say after she died, before she died and after she died, they asked her husband for permission to use her cells for research purposes. And he said no, and also he was illiterate, so he didn't understand. And even though he said no, and he was illiterate, they used that against him and gave the cells to a doctor known as George Guy. I think his name is Guy or something like that. He did a whole lot of research on the cells. And the cells, what really did it was when normally when you do cancer cells, they die when you put them in different petri dishes and different flasks and stuff like that. Henrietta cells didn't do that. They multiplied. They contaminated other cells. Okay, so that's the fantastic thing. And they've been used to develop the polio vaccine, into space, exposed to nuclear testing and toxins, and they've further helped in the understanding of cancer, HIV/AIDS, and cells in general. And they're widely used today in viruses and anti-tumor medicine. And other things have been herpes, leukemia, influenza, hemophilia, Parkinson's disease, and we talked about AIDS and cloning. Okay, what makes this so sad is that the audacity of the 2 white doctors, the gynecologist and the research doctor, when they found out how valid the cell was, that Dr. Guy, which was the research doctor, he couldn't wait. He was like a child discovering something new. he ended up, Johns Hopkins did not buy these cells or sell these cells. This particular scientist took it upon himself with his colleagues. He was so excited that these cells could be used to help mankind that he just gave them to his colleagues. He just put them in a nitrogen mail thing and shipped them off, and just sent them to all around the world, his colleagues. Okay, and there was never anything there about benefiting either the department or the family. However, guess who did benefit? The Biomedical Research Institute. That's how we got biomedical research, from Henrietta Lacks and that Dr. Gay. Since there was no contract or anything, these other people and pharmaceutical companies, they started selling Henrietta cells for $250. So pharmaceutical companies were making money. Biomedical research institutes were making money. And guess who was not making any money? Henrietta Lacks' family. They were still poor. They were suffering. Some of them had, they had all kinds of different diseases, that poor people, especially poor black people, get. And, like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, things like that. So, but the most profound thing is that it was first used in polio, to cure polio, by Dr. Johns Hopkins. So, the family got angry. Johns Hopkins got, they didn't get, the family tried, they just took advantage of them, okay? And, let me try to get this. Oh, this is a cell. See, normally it would be one. See how it's duplicating? Okay. Okay, so it wasn't until the 70s that they really Lacks, Henrietta's cells were revealed. Her family, they had no idea what a vital role their mother was playing in medicine and biomedical research. They didn't know that part of her mother was still alive. It's like anything contaminated, infinite doo-doo. It just keep going and going and going and going. So that's what happened to her cells. They're still here now. They're still doing research with them now. So they didn't know when they found out. They were just, how ignorant people, uneducated people are. They didn't know, did her cells go to heaven, or did she go to heaven, or whatever. So they even did use her family and use the cancer to try to slyly get her medicine, get their cells that may inherited from her mother, and they did that by telling them that they were gonna get medical insurance. Believe it or not, Johns Hopkins University, or medical center, or whatever you call it, they didn't give her family free care. They didn't give her any kind of insurance. They had to struggle. Their mother saved the world, mother, wife, what have you. And they struggle with diabetes, heart disease, cancers, just trying to, get medical treatment for them. So they couldn't even get insurance. Johns Hopkins couldn't even just say, look, we're gonna do this free. All the Henrietta Lacks relatives get it free. No. Instead, they send this woman over. She was I don't know, she was some type of Asian woman that didn't speak English well, and she